Hello everyone and welcome back to our channel Biodiversity and Conservation. I am Subhalakshmi Raut from Ambika Prasad Research Foundation India, and we are continuing our series on UGC NET examination for environmental science subject, and this is 14th part of unit 3, environmental biology. Today we are going to discuss on population density and about R&K strategies. So we will start with population density. This is the last characteristics or attributes of a population. So population density is actually defined as the population size to some unit space, that is population size divided by total area. So the effect that a population exerts on the community and the ecosystem depends not only on what kind of organisms are involved, but it also depends on um, the external factors or the population size, etc. And it is generally assessed and expressed as the number of individuals or population biomass per unit area or volume. So it may also change with the seasons, weather conditions, food supply, etc. And some other factors also influence this population density. So, population density also gives us information about the magnitude of the population, but does not provide us any information on the distribution pattern of the population within the environment. Means this gives us the idea on a whole population, but it can't provide us the minute details on which area a particular population or a small part of the population is residing on. So this is the disadvantage for this population density characters. And there are two ways for measuring population density. First one is crude density and second one is ecological density. So crude density is actually the density per unit total space. So if we consider an area of 100 square meter and the number of individuals residing in that area is 200, so the density will be 200 by 100 is equal to 2. But in case of ecological density, it is the density per unit habitat space, means the space available for the population to reside actually. So here from the previous example where the total area was 100 square meter, if we take that the residing area is 50 square meter and the individuals residing in them is as usual 200, so that ecological density will be 200 by 50, which gives us 4. So here you can see the difference. Crude density was 2 and ecological density is 4. So it depends upon which type of space or area we are taking into consideration. Now, there are some factors that affect the population density, like immigration, emigration, natality, mortality. These are the main factors which affect the population density. Natality and immigration provides us positive population density, and emigration and mortality gives us negative population density, because if we say natality means birth of new individuals and immigrations means migration of new individuals from area into the considered area. So this will increase the population in an area, which gives us positive or high population density. And in case of mortality, that is death of organisms, and emigration means migration of individuals outside the considered area. So this will decrease the population density of the considered area. So these are the factors that greatly affect the population density. Now, there are some ways to measure the population density. So there are three major categories. Um, like when the population is easily seen. Um, and next one is when the population cannot be seen through our eyes, but there are some methods to capture those measurement. And next one is population index. So when we can see the population, we can do complete census. So the complete census means counting every individual present in a particular area, and this method is not actually practiced in most cases because it's impossible to take an area and count each and every organism. And in case of the measurement where we cannot see all the organisms, there we perform four types of measurement schemes like recapture method, removal sampling, quadrant and transect sampling, and plotless methods. Here, mark and recapture method. In this method, actually, a sample of the population or a particular organism is captured and marked and released back to their environment, where the proportion of the marked individuals is used in later sample to determine the total population. And actually, there are some parameters where this type of method can be used and cannot be used. It actually works on certain presumptions that the marking technique has no negative effect on the mortality of the marked individual, but uh, um, there can be um, so there cannot be an effect of mark and recapture on that particular individual, but there is no significant immigration or natality mortality um, between the events of capturing the individuals. So we cannot say if this method will work or not. Then removal sampling is second method where the number of organisms are removed from an area in successive samples. Means here we will capture the samples within a particular interval of time. And in quadrant or transit sampling, here we count the organisms of single species in plots of appropriate size and number to get an estimate of the density in the area sampled. So here we will divide the area into quadrants, and we'll study each and every quadrant uh, separately. And next one is plotless method. It is actually applicable to sessile organisms that are not able to move. So here uh, it this method is based on a series of random points, like the distance to the nearest individual is measured in each four quarters or at each point along the series of random points, and the density per unit square is estimated from the mean distance. So as you can um realize that this method also is not applicable for all types of organisms. And the last one is population index, where here actually we can measure the population density through indirect evidences or methods like this method actually not relies or rely on directly seeing or hearing the animal, but by merely noting some signs that tells us that the animal has been there in that area. Like in case of deer populations, like I said, in case of deer population, the number of shed antlers and number of fecal and pellet droppings of different animals, pelt records, amount of food consumed, and the frequency of prey remains in the stomach contents of predators, and the mm, frequency of bird calls and mammal noise, and the frequency and pattern of the tracks and trails, and open or closed burrow openings, and runaway counts gives us the population index of organisms in a particular area. So these are actually not the fixed numbers. So there may be some fluctuations to this population density type calculation in case of population index. So it is also assumed that the index is proportional to the density, and the rate of proportionality is constant, and the index actually doubles. Then we assume that the population has also doubled. So next one is R and K strategies. Um, Actually, in on the Earth's surface, every organism wants their um, offsprings to survive properly. So they try to adapt different strategies for the better survival of their offsprings. So each species develop or employ different strategies to ensure that they leave their offspring behind before they die. So this strategy is usually reinforced by the organism's genes. So it is difficult for most organisms to deviate from this uh, path. So uh, in the universe, actually, there are two fundamental types of reproductive strategies, that is K strategy and R strategy. Sorry, and the populations of strategies species are actually governed by their biotic potential, and the populations of K strategist species fluctuate at or near the carrying capacity of the environment in which they reside. So, in case of strategist species, they usually have very short maturation time, and they often breed at the young age. So, naturally, they will have short lifespan and produce many offsprings very quickly. And they have young with high mortality rates and invest very little time in parental care. So this type of species thrive in disturbed habitats as well as in contemporary environments like some vernal ponds and carry on. Under such conditions, those organisms respond opportunistically and become the first ones to stake claims on the unused resources such as nutrients, sunlight, etc. And although their number may rise very highly or very quickly initially, but after some unpredictable event that disturbs their habitat, they will often die very quickly also. So when other more competitive species come in contact of them, so the effect of overcrowding may lead to their death. And um, the example of this type of selection or strategy is bacteria, insects, and fish. And in case of case strategy species, they actually focus on quality over quantity. So they are generally called equilibrium species, and they actually possess very stable population and tend to produce relatively low number of offspring, but the individual offspring tend to be quite large in comparison to the R selected species, and they have long gestation period and very slow maturation, and they have long lifespans, and their mortality rates is also very low. And the parents actually provide um, very extensive parental care. So they can survive on their own when they are left alone after maturing. And these type of strategy is mainly found in birds, mammals, uh, and sometimes on larger plants also. So based on these qualities, this is the difference between R species and K species. And from there is one trick to remember and not confuse between these two, is that R is generally written in small case, that is not capital R, that small r. So small r, you can link it to small species, means like rat or insect. So when you link that to their size, you can know insects live very small lifespan, and they are found in place of very harsh conditions, and um, there is very much competition, so they cannot compete. They are more adaptable to the changes, and they have poor defense, and they produce much more offsprings, and their metabolism is also very fast. And these are the some of the um, characters of R species, which is totally opposite of K species. So from this link, you can easily take on your questions. This is all from me today. Thank you.